Issues and Tissue, a contemporary magazine program that engages and discusses issues of development within and outside the state. The program brings to the fore ranging topics like education, politics, agriculture, just name it, while we examine the nitty-gritty of the issue in focus. Join me, BC Akpaida, every Wednesday on African Independent Television, AIT, for an exciting time. Issues and Tissue. If we can think it, we can discuss it.
Hello and welcome to another very exciting edition of the program. It is Issues and Tissue on African Independent Television, AIT. We're still in the month of March, where the world celebrates the International Women's Day, marked every March 8th. The theme for this year's celebration is Choose to Challenge. And on the program today, we are looking at how far women around the world have gone in challenging the issues of gender inequality. And joining us on this conversation today is a human rights activist and an advocate for women and children, the person of Ronke Ojeikere. We will take you straight to the conversation. Stay with us. My name is Nosareme Uso.
Issues and Tissue. If we can think it, we can discuss it. Thank you so much, Ronke, for having us at your place. Ronke Ojeikere is the initiator, Society for Heightening Awareness of Children and Women Abuse, SOTA Waka. It's always, a mouthful for me.
It's a whole sentence.
But that's okay. At least it depicts what you stand for.
True.
And you've been in this business for a while now. Of course, a lot of people know you. We all know you. And that's why we're here today, because recently the world celebrated the International Women's Day. I want to know what that signifies.
Women, for example, we all know that we have our gender biases. We all know that women have not had their fair share in anything. But thank God now women are being recognized internationally. We say that we have not been recognized locally, or at least we are getting that recognition internationally. And our challenges are we're beginning to use our challenges as stepping stones. But when you look at the things that women are supposed to be doing and that we are not doing, you now start to say there's this thing about inequality. But I guess that we have started to try to go past that stage. We have started to start taking the bull by the horn and start trying to get ourselves positioned in places where ordinarily we would have difficulties in doing. If we look at the political terrain, for example, we haven't really gotten there, but we are striving to have a niche for ourselves in the political terrain. If we look at ourselves in the professional terrain, I'd say that we have done magnificently well. So we will not see that as challenges. Once upon a time, it was they looked at it that educating the girl child was a waste of money and all of that. But now, educating the girl child is almost like paramount in every home. At least we are seeing women who have stood up in homes where there are even boys to really stand up that ladder and say to look, we will be the male voice in the home. So the theme for this year is very apt, because every woman's voice must be heard towards the challenges that they are experiencing. The women in the rural community, the challenges that I face as an urban woman are not the same challenges that the woman in the rural community faces. So it is our clear understanding. What do you understand by the word challenges? What that would you place your challenge vis-a-vis your success story? So those are the things that we're looking at.
How would you want to define gender equality? And would you say it's necessary?
when we started this struggle for gender equality, we knew that women were being looked down upon. Any which way you want to look at it, women were never looked at as equals to men. You understand? So that was what brought about this gender equality issue. And I'm always quick to say that gender equality is for both male and female, but it is more, we were concentrating more on the women. Women should be at par, with the men. Women should not be looked down upon. If there's a position that a woman, qualifies for, let her get it. Let her go there. Let her prove her worth. Every woman, is equal to a man and all of that. And when we now look at the equity part of it, yes, while we say equality and all of that, a woman may be this small, and we're all looking at something very high. Until you put a woman or put a person at par with them so that they are both looking at the same distance, So those are the things that we're talking about. So yes, I would always advocate for gender equality. I would always advocate that women should not be put on the back corner. Women have their equal rights in society.
Maybe sometimes the men just don't get it. Maybe they don't understand that, when a woman is, where she ought to be. Which might not necessarily mean competing with the man, but she's where she ought to be. Yeah. It brings in a lot of positives into society.
Even the men these days are beginning to know that let's not shy away from the fact that a woman will always be where she will be. It's like saying that you want to cover a light with a black pot. Somehow light will find its way out of the person. But yes, we still have men who would never agree that a woman should be equal to them. They go there. Well, when you start talking of gender equality, they will tell you, I don't blame you, it's a Beijing conference that caused all of this. you understand? But society is beginning to come to terms with the fact that gender equality is now a norm, is now something that we must discuss, is something that we must get a solution to. You understand? Look at the Ojeikere now. Look at the different people that are coming up and taking different key positions internationally. If you say that her father denied her of education, or if your father denied your education, or denied me education, and all of that, where would we be? So we must take this cry, away from the urban community to the rural communities, to start to tell the men that, listen, your daughter will be your daughter, whether you hide her away, whether you do not give her the education that she so desires. She would be equal and even aspire to be better than the man if you decide that you want to keep her away. Any which way we want to see it, we are beginning to reach that. I don't know whether to say we have reached the crescendo yet, but we are working towards that path of being able to look at gender equality, not in the fact of competition. Let me use your words. We are not competing with the male gender. No, we are not. But what we are only saying is that do not deny us feminine gender what we ought to get. And that's why that struggle has continued, and that struggle will continue until we've been able to align with the male gender in what we want.
Seems most of our messages are for the women in the urban area, and it seems most of them are getting it. Now, how do we take this message to the grassroots?
Let's take for Sotawaka, for example. Most of my work is done in the rural community. Most of my work. Yes, we have a physical address in the urban community, but most of my work is done in the rural community. That is because Ronke Ojeikere as a person knows that here in the urban community, We don't need to nail hard for a woman to understand. But in the urban community, in the rural community, what do we have in place? We have the males to contend. First of all, we have religion and tradition to contend with. We have culture, we have religion, we have tradition, then we have the male folks in themselves to contend with. And those are the people that, they start telling you, they start giving you different vibes, that this, that is, so taking the message to the grassroots community has been one major work that we do. But we are not really getting the success stories. We are not getting the success or positive results out of there, because when you go there, they just look at you. But if you are lucky enough to catch the gatekeeper, who normally should be the head of the community, and that head of community buys into what you are saying, then it's a win-win situation for you.
We'll be speaking with Ronke Ojeikere, the initiator, Sotawaka. She is a grassroots advocate for women and children's rights. I will be right back. Thank you so much for staying with us on Issues and Tissue. We'll be right back after the break. Issues and Tissue. If we can think it, we can discuss it. Alright, welcome back. You're still on to Issues and Tissues on African Independent Television here in Benin City. And we are with Ronke Ojeikere. She is the initiator, Sotawaka. And of course, she is one who fights for women and children's rights. Not just, for the sake of talking, but because there's a passion. I feel the passion, most times when you talk. It shows that maybe you have a story or something.
No. Sotawaka, how was Sotawaka born? I'm actually telling somebody's story, especially the child sexual abuse of it. I'm actually somebody else's story. That was my drive. I didn't school in Nigeria. I schooled in Philadelphia in the United States. And I had a roommate who obviously went through child molestation. And that was the very first time in my life that I heard that a father would molest his child. Yeah. And because I knew I was going to come home after graduation and all of that, I decided to start looking into issues like this. And when I started, it was a taboo. It was a taboo. It must not be mentioned that a father molested a child. Any child who comes up with such stories was seen as being possessed by witchcraft and all of that, like I said. So, but it didn't stop me from still forging ahead. Whether or not I did, it wasn't as loud as this, but I always used to just get interested in things like that. And by year 2000, 2001 and upwards, then we now started to see the cases coming up, and I now got deeply rooted into it that, you know what, why don't you follow this thing the whole haul? And that's where it all started from. Domestic violence had to do with my cousin. I used to do just regular rights of women and children abuse, but I didn't hold on to one particular thing, especially with domestic violence, not until my cousin died. My cousin was very sadly killed by her husband. It's a celebrated case. And I I said to myself, this is what women are going through. Because with my cousin, she wanted to protect her home, she wanted to protect her child, she wanted to help her husband build his career as a pastor in the church. But then she forgot that this same pastor could kill her. And the pastor had threatened to kill her. And he did kill her. Titilayo Arowolo was my cousin, and her husband killed her. And she's dead now. Her daughter, who she wanted to be in a united home, protect the daughter and protect her husband is in jail now. Like he's been sentenced now. He's there, and the poor little girl, she was 2 years old when her mother was killed. She's with my uncle, So what home are we protecting? She doesn't have a father to look after her. Her mother died, So those are the things. So when I see domestic violence cases, especially those that have been beaten and maimed, beaten, and you can actually see the obvious facts, I always say, please, where are these people's family? Like, I knew how my uncle and auntie didn't want Titilayo back, but Titilayo was an adult. She wanted to protect her home, but she died. And the first thing I tell most women who go through domestic violence, I tell them my cousin's story. Okay, look at the other Edo guy who got killed, not Edo, but he lives in Benin, Udume's husband. That's a family that I knew, the Ojeikere, that's a family I know and I know well. He's dead today. His wife is in jail. Must we reach that stage? Must we kill? That is a question that I keep asking. But when I tell women that when you get the first slap, run. I don't care how anybody wants to look at it. Run. Because that first slap is going to lead to another slap. And most times, men don't just slap you after marriage. When they were cutting you, they must have shown you signs that they were going to be abusive. Likewise, women. When women start to break things and temper tantrums before marriage, it's a way of telling you, the man, be careful, do you want to continue like that? Well, we as human beings, we always deceive ourselves to say that he will change, she will change after marriage, and then it gets worse. So, did it happen to me? Not directly, it's not as if one man brutalized me or that I was sexually molested and all of that. This is just that there are things that have happened to people who are very close to me and who also I use them as my torchlight to be able to see things. And then I read a lot. And I read a lot, I compare stories and all of that, so I can always almost tell that things like this are going to happen. It's not about Ronke. What I do is not about me. It's about protecting the vulnerable people who are mostly the women and children, particularly the girl child. But right now, it's even happening to the boy children. Boys are being sodomized.
Exactly.
So if we say we are looking at those girl children and protecting only the girl children, we are making one hell of a mistake, because even the boy children are being sodomized. Even the men are also going through their own form of violence in their homes. Yes.
Putting all of this together, how do we handle the situation going forward now? Especially taking it to the grassroots, so that the woman at the grassroots can also get this message that they don't really need to stay in there and they don't really need to stay in there. They can choose to challenge whatever barriers, either sexual barrier or violence, and that they're facing right now. How do we?
Well, going forward, to the grassroots. I don't think we can make a headway in the grassroots because, but if I look at some of my cases now that are coming from the grassroots communities where I work, I want to say that women are beginning to have a voice. Because what I tell women is, your voice is your power. That's what I tell them. So if you stay there and decide that one man will turn you to a punching bag and you are afraid to go home, that's your headache. A message I also take back to the parents. But when I want to have such fora, I always try to have a mixed breed. Woman, man, not necessarily husband and wife, the youths, male and female. And I said to them, what would you rather prefer? Your child coming back home with her 2 legs, or them bringing your child in a carton, in a wooden box, and tells you, here lies the body of your child. Which would you rather prefer? Mark you, I haven't said male or female because it could be any of them lying in that casket, you know? So, and you see them, they are nodding and they are taking it in and they're like, yes, it can happen and all of that. So, that awareness, we have to continue. It's just that there are no funds to do, but we have to continue. We will not stop saying it. Please, 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 please. Leave our girl children alone, leave our boy children alone, stop defiling them, stop sodomizing them, stop raping and all of that. And then stop brutalizing our women. Stop, that kind of thing. We will continue to say it until they are tired of it. And then we'll continue to educate women. Children now, if you defile them or if you touch them, they tell you straight up, and they will tell you, they won't shy away from pointing at who did it. Because what have we done? We've been able to tell the children that if the man tells you he will kill your father, he will kill your mother, he will not kill your father, he will not kill your mother, because by the time we catch him, he will be in jail. So the children now, in their own, they now have their voice. If they cannot tell their mother and father, they tell somebody who would say. So it is that thing, sensitization, education. We will not stop continuously, until, not really, 2030 also. We'll be able to see something. We started off with 2020. 2020 has passed. Now we have entered 2030. So what time we'll go to 2045. Don't worry. God giving us life. We will make a headway. But like I said to you, where I started from back in the day is not what is happening now. Because now people can walk to Sotawaka and make a report. And when you ask them, what do you want to do? I want to see him behind bars. Women, wives are now beginning to say that. Men are walking in. Men are no more ashamed to say, my wife struck me. They are no more ashamed. Because in those days, they will tell you that woman, they beat you, not the shame. But men are beginning to go, the woman is a violent woman. I want her out of my house because I want my peace. I want to be alive. Many men who are dying these days are dying. You think they are dying for her because of hypertension, because of one wahala or the other. Many women too are dying because away from violence, they are becoming ill and they die. Nobody is knowing what is happening. So women just go buy sniper and all of that. I want to end it all. You understand? And you now say one woman committed suicide. Or you find a man will just drive to a bridge into one river and jump off, and you don't know why that one has killed himself, So those are the things. We won't stop educating them. And I won't shy away from it. So Tawaka's success story has been more because I have media partnership. Media, print and electronic media, I have their partnership. So when you have that kind of partnership, people say, Hamod, you are always giving brown envelope. I said, no. You call me, I talk, you like what I say, you invite me the next time. So because I have that kind of partnership, at least we've been able to run that mileage because there's media partnership. So with that synergy, I guess that the message would go a long way, away from the fact that we carry ourselves to the community to also go and advocate and sensitize the people about what needs to be done concerning issues that are affecting them.
Well, that was a very interesting discussion and conversation with Ronke Ojeikere, the convener for Sotawaka. I'm sure you got a lot from that discussion. Now, according to Ronke, women should be at par with their male counterparts. Well, we hope that a time will come when this will truly be so. And that's the much we can take on the program today on Issues and Tissue on African Independent Television, AIT. Until we come your way again next week, same time, same station, stay safe and do not forget to always obey and follow the COVID-19 guidelines to make sure that we are all safe and protected from this virus. My name is Nosareme Uso. Have a wonderful day.
Issues and Tissue, a contemporary magazine program that engages and discusses issues of development within and outside the state. The program brings to the fore ranging topics like education, politics, agriculture, just name it, while we examine the nitty-gritty of the issue in focus. Join me, BC Akpaida, every Wednesday on African Independent Television, AIT, for an exciting time. Issues and Tissue. If we can think it, we can discuss it.